Hey, how's it going out there today, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day. It's weekly recap time. You new guys that don't know, I'll go over the weekly recap. I'll talk about the trips I did for the week. I do one of these for every week I'm trucking, and if I'm not trucking, I'll let you know. I'll still do one, but it'll be a short one. So I talk about the trips I've done. We go over the variable cost. At the end, you will hear me say this is the money I have left to do what I have to do with. That's where you plug in your fixed costs, your loan payments, truck payments, maintenance bills, and what else would you put in there? Insurance would be a big one you'd want to put in there. So I go over that. I go over my trips. I go over my week, but I don't talk about the carrier I'm leased to. I am leased to an 80-20 split refrigerated carrier. I recommend do your research, find you one if that's what you want to do. But I don't like giving out my carrier because it just, people start troubles and whatnot. So let's go over the weeks. If there's anything I forgot, I'll break it down later on. Now, we're in a little bit of a softer freight market. I am Minnesota based. I like to go Minnesota out and back. That's kind of my thing. And the problem with it is here lately, having trouble getting loads straight back to Minnesota that are paying worth anything. My head hauls are still doing pretty good. Going out of Minnesota, I'm still making decent money right now. Because of connections my carrier has, and that's a big part of it. I'm not gonna, it's not gonna make any bones about it. If you're gonna lease onto a carrier, make sure they got some contacts. Make sure they've done some work over the years to, make some good inroads at some customers and whatnot. Just a recommendation. Now, if you remember last weekly recap, I had a big week. It was really good. I had a trip that went from Minnesota all up and down the East Coast, and then I did like a little short hopper out of like Massachusetts over to Pennsylvania. That's where we pick up here. It basically took me a whole week to work my way back to Minnesota. That's not how I like to do it. We had some issues on some loads on Fridays, man. These brokers and these customers, they're just, I'm not knocking them. They're doing business. But it is hard to get a load booked and keep that load. I had a load like a week or two ago. The broker just called me and said, hey, we found somebody that'll do it cheaper. So, peace, like nothing I can do about it, But I was in Pennsylvania on a Friday. This week starts on a Friday. This is a 6-day week I'm going over here. So it took me 6 days to work my way back to Minnesota. Normally, like from Pennsylvania, that's like a 2-3 day run, But we just didn't get to come straight back. So had to piecemeal it, kind of, I guess you would say. So I was in Pennsylvania. It was on a Friday. I had a decent load booked back to Wisconsin, and they called, and on a Friday at like 1 p.m. I was supposed to pick it up that afternoon at like 4 or 5 p.m. They called and said, hey, they're not going to ship that load today. I guess, they ain't got the product ready. And I was like, that is a bummer, because it was a good load back to Wisconsin. It was going to deliver on a Monday. I would have been like, a slow roll. It didn't weigh much. It only weighed like 18,000 pounds. There was a lot of good things about it. Paid decent to get me back to Wisconsin, and I could just deadhead back over to Minnesota. I was liking the plan, but then they called and said, hey, don't worry about it. So here we go. Now we're looking for a load on a Friday afternoon, and this freight market is changing as far as volumes. You can't just hop on the load board and go, Pennsylvania to Minnesota. There's your 20 options. It's more like Pennsylvania to Minnesota on a Friday afternoon. Lucky if you get one or two, on such a specific run. There was some stuff going back up into like Illinois, Wisconsin area. Wouldn't pay them worth a darn, man. They knew it. They knew they have us over a barrel. Like when you look at that DAT load board, and I'm not just picking on the DAT, they're all like this. I believe they design those more for the brokers than they do the carriers. I do. I just see it that way because I seen a commercial. The reason I say this, I seen a DAT commercial on YouTube a couple years back, and boy, was they giving away some trade secrets in that commercial. They were on there saying, oh, well, this guy was like a new broker, and he was like, well, being a new broker, I don't know what to set the rate at, but I can look at DAT and see how many trucks are in the area, and I can adjust my rate accordingly, which means if there's more trucks than freight, he can lower his price and keep more money. It's business. I ain't mad at him. It's business, but don't think they don't do that. So I was kind of in a bind. There are a lot of trucks in that Pennsylvania area, and not a lot of freight coming out on a Friday afternoon. And I really didn't want to set till Saturday. I didn't want to set till Sunday. Definitely didn't want to set till Monday. So I said, I tell you what, let's just clear the Minnesota and let's just put it like in that direction. Let's just start heading that way, and then I'll deal with, maybe an extra day or two to get there. And it's kind of what I had to do. I finally found a load. Not a great load. I showed up on Friday afternoon to pick it up. I was given the rate con, and I'm telling you, I punched it in the GPS, and I looked at it on a satellite view, and I said, we got to go, because I had to pick it up by like 4 p.m. So I showed up at like 4:20, and I couldn't have got there any faster. I literally got the rate con at like 3:30, and I'm 45 miles away. So I got there like as quick as I could, and the receiving office was like, sorry about your luck. Or not receiving, the shipping office was like, sorry about your luck. We got a hard cut off at 4 o'clock, and I'm just like, So I had to pick it up the next morning and go with it. And mind you, I would like to throw in a reminder. This week I was in the International. This is a going home to get out of the International, and I'll talk more about that a little later in the load. So out of Pennsylvania, we took a load over to St. Louis. It was not where I wanted to be, but I said, you know what? Maybe Monday morning in St. Louis, things will be better. We'll see. We'll see. And so we loaded the load up in Pennsylvania. Was not too terrible of a load. It was 45 empty miles on that, 863 loaded, and it was 33 degrees. I put it on start and stop because fuel's $5 a gallon now, and it was like preserved food. This stuff could probably sit outside for 10 years and not go bad. I was like, we're not gonna run that on continuous. Sorry about your luck, guy. It was a 20,000 pound load, so at least it got me out of Pennsylvania mountains without being super heavy. I was happy about that. That load paid $21.50 on 908 miles. Yeah, that's some $2 a mile freight out of Pennsylvania. I ain't seen that in a while. But it's one of those things where you take your lumps sometimes, not by my own accord. I wasn't hoping that load got canceled out of Pennsylvania. I wanted the one back to Wisconsin for a lot more money. But the fact of the matter is, I'm over a barrel because it was Friday afternoon. I didn't want to set. I said, hey, I can make $21.50 this weekend. I can slow roll this. I picked it up on Saturday morning. It had to be there on Monday morning. So like 900 total miles. 900 total miles, basically. And that's with deadhead and everything. So once I got it loaded, I had like 2 days to go 863 miles. Slow roll it, get really good fuel economy. That's the thing about getting good fuel economy. You can work some of these loads that ain't paying so great. I would rather make $21.50 in revenue over a weekend than to sit there and wait on a better paying load. Now, some people disagree. You can put in the comments, low paying freight and whatnot. But let me tell you, it's what's out there right now. Like when I was on there on a Friday afternoon, I could have let it sit there. You better believe somebody else would have took it. And it's not like it's not profitable to run, 900 miles on $21.50. What is that like? That's like $230, $240 a mile. It's not great, but I took some $5-6 a mile freight into that area, so I can come out for a little less. It's business to me. So I took that load over. I met up with the guy so I was in Pennsylvania going to St. Louis, and my truck had got fixed at the shop in Minnesota. So we coordinated a plan for another driver to go pick up my truck and load it on a load going to, I think he was going to Virginia or maybe Maryland or something. So we coordinated a plan to meet up just east of Indianapolis, out there in I think Richland, Indiana, at the Loves. We coordinated a plan to meet up there and swap swap trucks. Normally when you meet up with someone, you're swapping trailers, but we swapped trucks. We kept the same trailers. We did debate for a minute whether we were going to switch up, but he wanted to continue the load to Maryland because it was worth a lot more, and he had just been on like a month of off time, so he was trying to get some money up. I said, I don't care, honestly. I'm just trying to get home, and this B going to St. Louis continues me toward the house versus backtracking all the way back to Maryland and having to come out of that area again. So I was kind of glad we stuck with it the way we did. So I rode over to Indiana and picked up the my truck, and which was cool. Got to swap everything out, got it done. Back on the way to Missouri. So Missouri, St. Louis on a Monday morning was a little rough. Let me tell you, not a lot of loads, especially loads back to Minnesota. 8 loads on the board back to Minnesota out of St. Louis on a Monday morning. That tells you how volumes look right there. That tells you how volumes look. So took one. Wasn't crazy about it. Again, here we go with this not crazy about it, but it's like the world you got to get used to. Trucking is ever changing, and you got to change with it, or because it don't care. I mean, honestly, you can say I'm not going to change with it. It don't care. It'll pass you right by. It'll pass you by like a bull hauler doing 85. Come on, like it won't even slow down. It won't even look at you. It just blow your doors off. Throw some wood screws at you when it goes by. So you can screw your doors back on. So anyway, out of St. Louis, we went up to very, very northern part of Minnesota up there. I mean, I was probably 30 miles from Canada in this little town up there. Very far north. That was a 38-degree load, and it was 43,000 pounds. That one had some weight on it, let me tell you. And it was kind of loaded weird. Boy, it made for a rough ride up through there. Absolutely just teeth-jarring rough ride. It actually jarred one of my taillights out of my truck. Is how how rough it was up through there. And so we had 19 miles on that empty move there. 836 on the loaded on that one. 855 total miles, and that was $2,600 on that one. And let me tell you, that paid about 500 more, maybe 600 more than going to Minneapolis. So if I'd have just went up to Minneapolis, I would have made about $1,800 to $2,000, but going like 300 miles north. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like 250 miles north of Minneapolis, like up there, like almost Canada. I got an extra 600 out of it, and this is where the guys in the office are just magical. I was going to deadhead back like 250 miles just to go home, and they called and said, hey, while you're up there, you want to bounce over to North Dakota, because we got a load in North Dakota coming back to Minneapolis. And I was like, sure, that sounds like a plan. So that load was out of North Dakota down to the Twin Cities, actually a little south of the Twin Cities there, but I call it Twin Cities. It was maybe 40 miles, like not far from where I parked my truck, so I was cool with it. I had 72 empty miles on that one, 361 loaded miles on that one, for a total of 423, and got 1,900 bucks out of that one. So that kind of saved this week, honestly, because it just did. Because I was going to be coming back that way empty, really. It maybe took me out around 100 miles. And then 40, let's say total it probably added 150 to 200 miles to my week, but it added $1,900 of revenue. So kudos to the dispatch, man. They was on it. They was finding some stuff that I couldn't find. That load back down from North Dakota, that was 70 degrees protect from freeze, and that was 39,000 pounds of freight. So that was it, guys. That was a rough week. You know, a lot of running here and doing this and all that. Like, I shouldn't say a rough week. I mean, it's trucking. That's what we do. But like a complicated, like trying to time everything out, get back in my truck, and then doing this and doing that. It made for a heck of a week. So let's go over these numbers. Total revenue for the week, $6,650. Not great. Not great, honestly, for the headache and the running and the dealing with the customers. That's why I like a one load out and a one load back. You know, it's very like easy. You go out, you unload, you reload, you come back. Versus, you know, 3 loads to get back is like, you know, that's a lot of dealing with a lot of customers. 6650 on total revenue. My 80% is 5,320, 5320 on my end. Total miles for the week, 2,186 total miles for the week. Not really a lot of miles, just a lot of running here and doing that, and you know, this, that, and the other. 136 of that was empty miles. 2,050 loaded miles. 6.6% deadhead. Not horrible for deadhead, 6.6%. Especially dealing with 3 short loads, you know, like that's why I say, you know, dispatch was on it, because they were finding stuff I couldn't find closer than, you know, than I was looking at loads. You know, I'm looking at loads in a 150-mile radius, you know, and they're finding stuff that's 19 miles away. You know, they're just digging harder than I do. You know what I mean? They're on the multiple load boards and whatnot, you know, and, you know, I'm over here with like 2 load boards trying to, you know, and they're better at it. They're better at it. I'll put it that way. That's $3.04 all miles. Not horrible. I'm not going to complain about $3.04 for every mile this truck turns. $2.43 at my 80%. It's $2.43. I'm very profitable at $2.43. And the loaded miles was $3.25. So honestly, coming out of some so-so markets there, I should have been able to do better. If this was 2 or 3 months ago, I would have done really good coming out of Pennsylvania, St. Louis, and then North Dakota. Like, typically those are 3 areas I do good out of. But, you know, we're specific. We're looking for loads in a certain area. You kind of tell, brings us down a little bit. $3.25, not bad a loaded mile though. Won't complain about it. I kind of feel like that's kind of we're settling into kind of the new normal, and that's kind of it right there, and I'm fine with that. I can be very profitable at that rate. So let's talk about these variable expenses. If you don't have Mudflap, check out Mudflap, link in the description. I know I talk about that a lot. I feel like when fuel's going up, Mudflap is very, very good. Now, when fuel settles in a little bit, you know, you might look here, look there, you might find something better, but I got to tell you, overall, Mudflap is an app worth having on your phone. It just is to me. It's like the old trusty backup, you know? It's just an old trusty backup. It's good. It's good to have around. So my diesel cost for the week was $1,155 in diesel for the week. Now, I'm going to say I probably should have spent a little bit more on diesel on that, but I was on my way home from North Dakota, and I pulled into a quick trip. I was going to get fuel on the Mudflap app, and man, it was the cheapest stop around for a while from what I could find. And they were like backed way out into the road, and I'm like, I'd rather just get fuel when I leave out next time. You know, why would I do something that future me could do? That's what I always ask myself. Why would I do it when I could make future me do it? So that's what I did. I made future me do it. So come in a little light on the fuel cost, honestly, for the week. I went home with like a quarter of a tank, which I rarely do. I like a half or above when I go home. $126 in reefer fuel, $30 in def. Spent $142 in tolls coming out of Pennsylvania. Now, the thing of that is, the area of Pennsylvania I was coming out of, I would have went up and caught 80 and went across 80, but I was in a hurry because I had to meet that guy with my truck in Indiana, and I didn't want to delay him getting to Maryland on time, so I paid the $142 and went across the Pennsylvania Turnpike. That's normally not how I play that, but that's kind of how we did it this time. And I scaled one load. Which one did I scale? I think it was the last load coming back down, because it was the last load. So 13 on a scale. We bring over my $5,320, my 80%, my $5,320. We subtract the total variable cost, which is $1,466, $14.66. Like I said, fuel should have been a little bit more than that, but you know, probably $200 or $300 more just to be, you know. But I kind of left with a fuller tank, and I brought her home with a quarter of a tank. It happens sometimes. Total variable cost for this hodgepodge of a week. What a week right there. My total after variable cost is $3,854 to do what I have to do with $3,854 to do what I have to do with. Not a bad week on 6 days of work, you know, and then got to be home for a day, so that's always awesome. When I can, you know, still get a good weekend and get a day at home. Honestly, those weeks mean more to me than the $12,000 weeks. Now, when I make a $12,000 week and it's good paying per mile, I can afford to take 3 or 4 days off. So, you know, but I like them when I can get home like almost every week, because that really makes the time on the road not seem so like time on the road, honestly. But there it is, guys. Another one in the books. Thanks for watching, everybody. Everybody stuck around. If you made it this far, obviously, you know, you need to hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, think about it. Come join us. You know, we do this all the time. We talk trucking and money. Come join me for a live show if you got any kind of questions or anything. That's where all the smart people hang out, is in my live shows. I'm telling you, come join me. And until later, take care of each other. Bye.